Hello, welcome back to the HCCTV Student Lounge. This is a show done by HCC students for HCC students to give you opinions in news, entertainment, and what's going on in school. Hi, Caro, how are you today?
Hey, Kaya, it's so good to have you back. We're also joined today by Francisco, Josh, Andres, Chaz, and Eric. And this will be Francisco's last show for the summer, but he will return with us on the fall. Now, we will also be joined by a guest, Luis Robles, who is here to talk about artificial intelligence. But first, let's move into our top 3 news of the week. So this is very interesting. A pastry AI learned to fight cancer. So this is an artificial intelligence system that was originally designed to distinguish between different types of pastry in Japan back in 2013. But then it was adapted to identify cancers. So the system was called Bakery Scan, and it was first launched in 2013 by Hisashi Kambi, a computer system engineer. And the system, which is still around, gives local bakeries a hand by doing basic tasks like distinguishing between croissants and bear claws. And well, several years later, a doctor from Louis Pasteur Center for Medical Research realized that the clever tool could be used for a very different purpose, and is recognizing cancerous cells in microscope slides. So this was so interesting, and it's a very good use of AI these days. Now, the HCC Foundation salutes Verizon for their generosity on behalf of the HCC students. So the Verizon's investment in HCC has provided support for us for emergency assistance, such as Swap to the Rescue program, the HCC math competition, programs that support small businesses, and for the Verizon Innovative Learning Program. This was recognized on May 19th in the HCC Board of Trustees meeting. And you can check the flyer for more information. Now, Kyle, HCCTV is proud to partner with Backstage OL. So what we're doing right now is we give an inside look to new feature films, and you can check 2 interviews that we already worked on, Those Who Wish Me Dead and Finding You. How was this experience, Kyle?
It's been amazing. I never thought I would be editing something. I interviewed with Angelina Jolie, so it's a really good experience. It's a close look to inside of the behind the scenes, and also getting to talk to really good people in the film industry. So I think this is a unique opportunity, especially with us here from the student lounge, that we like filmmaking. So yeah, it's a really cool thing. I'm so excited for it.
Yes, please check it out in our YouTube channel, and you'll see both of the interviews that we have done, and there are many more to come. Now let's begin our first topic, which makes way to a great discussion. So what is artificial intelligence for you? Well, artificial intelligence is a wide-ranging branch of computer science, and it's concerned with building machines, smart machines capable of performing tasks that typically require human intelligence. So basically imitating human intelligence. Now I'm going to give one example of it, which is a smart assistant, such as Siri and Alexa. Now, we all must have heard and might have used these assistant apps through our phones, laptops, and so many other devices. And some of the most popular and best assistants for artificial intelligence working all over the world are Siri, Alexa, Google Assistant, and so many more. So AI personal assistant works just like a human personal assistant will work. And it just helps you through apps to make phone calls, set reminders, play music, make a to-do list. It's so helpful. And this AI development services have made sure of making human to machine interaction as smooth as possible. So myself, I use Google Home the whole time. I do it for everything. And it's just so quick, and it synchronizes to my phone, and everything it's just so much easier. But what about you, Kyle? What's AI for you?
So since you're talking about Alexa and Siri, from Apple, those are really good technology. I use all the time, but at the same time, I'm scared sometimes because, for example, if you talk to Siri, you say, "Hey Siri," or if you do, "Hey Google," that means they will listen to you the whole time. So that can be kind of scary, because who are actually hearing you, you know, and how much does the machine knows about you, and what is the machine going to do with that information? So that's the part that sometimes concerns me, but I still use anyways, because, you know, I don't want to give up on technology so easy. And one other feature that I think is really cool when it comes to AI is, for example, the Face ID from Apple. I don't know if a lot of you guys probably have seen before, your phones may be even like that, but the way it works, they use like infrared sensors to like see your face, and the machine learns how your face changes with time. So if you get older, or if you have a beard, or if you have glasses, you know, so the AI kind of generates like different profiles of you, and it could only do that because of AI, because the machine every time is learning more about you, literally. Okay, this is Kyle, that's how his face looks like, this is how he's changing. You know, sometimes when you have like, you know, haven't slept and have the big bag here and still recognize your face, because, you know, he knows, he probably knows you went out last night. So, you know, but that's my input. Who's next?
I don't know, guys, too much about artificial intelligence, but when I think about that, I imagine the future full of robots that maybe they can do all the jobs that the humans do today. So I think there will come a time when companies will work just with robots. They maybe in the future the company they don't need the humans to work. So I just imagine that future is like kind of sad. So I believe that the human sense will be lost, the feelings will be lost because everything will be mechanical. So everything it will be working with robots. So it's kind of sad about that.
That's really interesting, Andres. I would actually kind of posit like the opposite. You know, I feel like if all like the menial jobs are being done by AI, that frees people up to be doing, or like by a robot, that frees us up to be doing more stuff. You know, we could be going more into the arts, more into the different because there's some stuff that's always going to be a little too complicated to leave it up to like robots or AI. And speaking about that, as much as we've been talking positively, I'm going to talk about an AI that I actually personally do not like, and that is, as always, bringing it back to animation here. The AI that I don't like is one that essentially interpolates the frames to artificially make stuff. You know, most animation is made in 24 frames per second. And so this AI will make it so that everything will be 60 frames per second. And a lot of people, especially people who play video games where they're trying to get as many FPS as they can, will be like, oh, it looks so much smoother and better. But honestly, most of the time it ruins the work. Like animation is a very like dedicated and like specific field. The reason they're only using so many frames is usually for a specific reason. They're trying to convey either specific emotion or specific motion or anything. And so I feel like it usually is kind of a disservice to the artists who are making this stuff. And a lot of the time it just looks choppy. Like it never looks great. It's never like, look at this perfectly interpolated. Now it's like super smooth. Usually it's like you're watching it move and it's like, oh, it's super jerky. So stop using that AI. Animation is not video games. Your eyes can also only barely see above a certain percentage anyway, so it doesn't make that much of a difference. And with that, I'll pass it off to Francisco.
Yeah, Chaz, no, I definitely agree. I feel like when it comes to creative stuff, AI probably, I don't know. I feel like it should only be there if you make a mistake. Like you have like, you know, you poorly lit something or you did something wrong and then the AI can fix it. But one thing that I wanted to talk about is deep fakes. So if y'all have never heard of that, deep fakes is basically using artificial intelligence and machine learning to kind of scan video footage of one person so that it can put their face and likeness on another person. It's kind of creepy and it's very creepy, but I assume it can be useful, like, you know, if there's a mistake or if you need to do a reshoot or something and somebody's unavailable. But yeah, deepfakes are, I guess they're here to stay, and hopefully people don't do too many terrible things with them.
Interesting. I want to talk about AI involving manufacturing. What AI does in manufacturing surprisingly actually predicts when the machine or operations will fail or about to, you know, break or something like that. And it lets the owners know or the employees know when to fix it. That way, they don't have to do any kind of cost-effective measures when it's totally blasted later on. So it actually is being used right now in a lot of manufacturing factories across the United States, and actually it benefits a lot of workers. There shouldn't be a big fear about losing a lot of jobs right now because AI is going to improve that with new operations for different type of employees. But right now, a lot of AI is being used in drones, especially for Amazon or even in the film industry. They're using AI to do what's called a motion control rig camera, where it moves by itself in filmmaking. It's very popular in a lot of the big budget effects movies going out across the summer and holiday season. But I think that AI is definitely going to be a benefit for mankind going forward.
That was great, guys. And also, if you can tell us what you think here at the Student Lounge, that would be also great. You can comment below on the YouTube video and share this with your friends and family. But now that we've heard from our crew, let's move into our week's guest. So who do you have for today, Kaya?
So today we have Luis Robles, who is a software developer. He knows a lot about computer science, apps, AI. So he's the perfect person to be talking to. So before anything else, you heard the discussion. Do we say wrong things? What's your opinion? I want to hear from you. Do you have anything to add to our discussion?
I think those are valid opinions. I think since this is such a brand new field, we don't really know where everything is going. So there's a lot of questions that should be asked. And then there's also, like you guys have said about deepfakes, so that can lead to different and bad things. But I think overall, like Eric said, it does lead to a lot of good in manufacturing and in a bunch of different areas.
Perfect. You see, guys, good job. Everybody did a good research. So tell me a little bit about you. I wanted to know, like, how did you even get into this field?
I was always really interested in computers ever since I was young. I started trying to make my own games since I was like 10, my own video games. And the thing that interested me most was trying to get the AI, the computer opponent, to do to act and behave as human-like as possible.
That's cool. And I know in video games, that's always been a big challenge, trying to, even create like different stories with different outcomes and different reactions from the players and the NPC. So that's pretty interesting. So tell me, what do you do now?
Right now, I am a software developer at a mortgage company, and we are starting to implement the very, very beginnings of AI. So right now, AI is all about taking as much data as you possibly can and then putting it through an algorithm to try to make it predict whatever thing you're looking for. So the outcome of who's going to be buying your product, how is your product failing. So right now we're implementing all the telemetry to basically grab all the information we can and store it in a way so that our AI will be able to work in the future.
That's really cool. And I think too, really challenge, because would you say that the description of your job is pretty much like trying to fix minimal errors, right? Trying to find solutions the whole time.
And without adding more errors.
Yeah, that's really important. You don't want to click one thing and boom, explode the computer, and you never know. So yeah, you gotta keep an eye for that. So we spoke about like how AI is important for technology. What else do you think AI is important for?
AI has been really important in the medical field. It's been helping. So right now there's a bunch of AI work on trying to get doctors the tools to be able to diagnose a lot more effectively and to also find the correct diagnosis. There's a lot of AI that are beating doctors in actually getting the correct diagnosis, not by a lot, but it is starting to get a lot better than that. Also, it helps with disabilities. There's a lot of people who are low disability, can't really see well. And there are actually apps that let you take pictures of something and you can see, like if you're low eyesight, you can't really see well, you click on something and the app will actually describe it to you. It'll tell you, oh, this is a bike, this is a car, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's really cool. I think even the iPhone now, like if you type like cat or tree, like it shows up like, sunset. So I think this is really cool, especially when you're trying to fine for photos. So now I would like to invite Eric. Eric, I know that's your favorite topic in the world, so please enjoy, ask whatever you want to ask him.
Thanks, Kyle. Hello, Louis. How you doing today?
I'm good.
So interesting thing about AI, if I was a student right now at college right now, if I want to major in, let's say, welding, but I heard a lot about computer science and AI, what would get me interested, in your opinion? What the classes that I should be taking? What should I be expecting, in your opinion?
Math, a bunch of math, almost all math. In fact, when I was taking my classes, I'd say 4 out of the 5 classes I was taking per semester involved math, like 90%.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a bunch of math, a lot of problem solving. Those are really interesting. I thought it was really interesting. So if you enjoy a lot of math and problem solving, then that would really interest people.
Okay. The field of jobs in the Houston area that will probably be centered around AI or computer science engineering, which ones are the most well-known that students should expect to kind of either go forward to or hear about?
So there used to be a lot of websites and different places where you can go and, how do I put it? So before, most companies would outsource their software development and AI development. Now almost everybody's trying to insource it. So they're trying to do it in-house. So right now, every company is trying to get AI developers and software developers. So this is really big. JP Morgan Chase here in Houston, they have a big building. My company is trying to get a lot of people, Cornerstone Home Lending. There's a ton of companies right now. Ford is trying to do that. Almost all companies right now, all banks, they have to do everything in-house. So all of them would be trying to get AI developers.
It's very interesting. So I would probably think that working in AI or computer science is a pretty good field in almost any city, not just Houston, where working in oil and gas is particularly mostly just Houston or the Gulf Coast. That about right?
Yes, oil and gas right here is big. I know 2 guys that work at my company who came from oil and gas. But yeah, Houston is becoming a really big software city and software and tech in general. And I know IoT is getting really big here in Texas as well, in Austin. So even if you don't want to leave Texas, Austin is a really good place as well.
So I hear. So that's very interesting. Thank you for your time.
Mm-hmm.
So Luis, I have one question for you, and I just came to my mind. So one of the things that, movies like to talk about, and what if you start develop AI that's so smart that's gonna start creating their own AI? It's like replacing people that creates AI. Do you think like this can happen at some point and create some sort of collapse? Like, what's your opinion when it comes to that?
So AI right now is not so much rewriting itself. There are people working on it, but for the most part, AI is kind of dumb right now. AI is all about taking decisions, small decisions, and trying to weigh which one is best. So those decisions are pre-coded. So it'd be very difficult for it to start rewriting itself and then get out of hand. But that's right now. I don't want to, this is evolving so quickly, we don't really know.
Okay,
so
I like
don't
that.
worry yet.
Okay, don't worry yet, just in the future. Okay, good. I guess Chaz would like to ask him something, right?
Yep, thank you so much for bringing it to me, Kyle. I actually have a question because right now, we've been hearing a lot about like Tesla and their self-driving cars, and that's AI. How do you see that proceeding in the future? Because I know right now, especially, people aren't supposed to just let them drive on their own because it's still really dangerous. And you're in a car, one mistake could cause a lot of problems. But especially with also how bad the infrastructure can be when it comes to like roads. There's some places that have like nothing but bumpy roads. Do you think we're going to get anywhere with like the self-driving car technology in the next couple of years?
Yes, a lot of AI uses something called fuzzy logic, which basically means that whenever it's not like yes or no, it's like maybe. So it basically says, maybe it looks like this, maybe it doesn't look like this. And then it weighs on whether it tries to guess in one way or another based on like a weight. So if it says it looks like a pothole, is it deep enough to affect me or not? If it won't affect me, then it'll just drive normally. And if it's something bigger, then, you know, it's not like you don't just create an AI and then dump it into a car and let it drive. So there's a lot of testing. There's a lot of development that goes into it. And right now, like Uber is trying specifically to get as many AI drivers as they can. And if a big company like Uber and Tesla are trying to pour in a bunch of money, then it's more likely than not gonna be developed faster. So I do see self-driving cars, you know, becoming a thing.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Sorry.
no, it's okay. And like self-driving cars started in the 90s. So 30 years of self-driving cars, that's extremely quick to get from nowhere to that.
And I think one of the issues with this, it's because people have this thing like, oh, self-driving cars, they're gonna kill people. And one thing happens and the whole, like this, everybody start freaking out and thinking like, no, we cannot have this because the dude died in a car accident. But how many people actually die with regular people driving, you know, every single day, especially in Texas, you know, those crazy highways. So people are just, you know, sometimes they don't think too straight when it comes to that, but it is scary. I'm not gonna lie. I think here in Houston, Domino's was actually delivering pizza with like a self-driving car. So I saw that on the news. That was actually pretty interesting. You know, like you got your pizza, you know, it's like a little cube and it just drives around in Houston. That's like crazy. Fresh pizza. Anyways, it was really good having you, Luis. Thanks so much for the information. I'm not too worried anymore because before the show started, I was like, oh my God, we are gonna die for the robots. But I guess we still have a little bit of time for that to happen. So let's enjoy life. All right, thank you so much. I see you. What's going on now, Carolina?
That was fascinating to hear. Thank you for your time. And as you know, we also cover things that are entertaining to watch. So what shows are out that you want to talk to us about, guys?
So we've talked a lot about AI today. We've mentioned Siri, the Google Assistant, Cortana, Alexa, all those kind of things. And that brings me to the movie I want to recommend today called Her. It's a movie starring Joaquin Phoenix, and it's about a man who recently goes through a divorce, and he starts falling in love with the Siri equivalent app on his phone. And as the movie goes on and on, he becomes more and more attached. And it's almost a statement for today's society about how we become too reliant on technology. And can you even have feelings for something that has inhuman qualities? And I think it's a pretty fascinating look into how AI shapes today's world.
Today, I want to recommend Artificial Intelligence. It's a 2001 American science fiction drama film directed by Steven Spielberg. Originally, the idea was from Stanley Kubrick, but because he died, Steven Spielberg, he made this movie. This film is set in the future where a family decides to buy an android with the appearance of a child. This class of android for the first time have feelings. However, the android into the family begins to have problems with his human brothers because the android start to feel love for his human mother. And finally, the android is abandoned by the family. It's a great movie with great special effects. It's the debate between the human feelings and the robots. Very good movie.
I want to recommend the movie I, Robot. It stars Will Smith, and it was directed by Alex Proyas, the director of The Crow and Dark City. The movie is basically about, it takes place in 2035, and it's about a cop who had a bad experience with a robot who hates robots. And a company called USR has manufactured robots. And one robot who has AI installed in him illegally tries to do whatever he wants, but he's doing it for a reason. And turns out that the big villain in the movie actually is not the CEO of the company, but the computer AI that is manufacturing all the robots. So it's up to the main character played by Will Smith to kind of solve this mystery. But AI is all over this movie. The robot that has the AI in him, actually ends up being the hero because he actually helps the main character fight the main AI program that's doing all the evil things and forcing its will on mankind.
That's super interesting. I'll have to give iRobot a try at some point. I'm here to recommend an old one, but a classic, The Matrix. Pretty much our main character realizes that he's in a simulated reality that's essentially being run by AI. The robots all have their own intelligence and stuff outside of the world that he lives in virtually. And it's just a really cool exploration. I think it was by the I can never say their last name, the Wachowski sisters. And it's just, honestly, it's such a classic movie of the sci-fi. It's inspired so many other movies and stuff. And we just don't talk about the sequels sometimes. Anyway.
I would like to recommend Made for Love. Is a show that I just started watching 2 weeks ago. And it's made by HBO. And it's a really interesting story. And the reason why I picked this one is because there's so many technologies in the movies. They show a lot of virtual reality and things like that. But the story itself is really cool. So it's this woman, she is married with this billionaire, and he kind of takes her away from the city. He puts her in this home, just them two, with some people to help them. But everything in the house is like cameras. It's the whole time analyzing the data of his wife. So if she's happy, if she's hungry, if she's sleepy, if she's tired, and his wife starts to kind of freak out because she stays there for 10 years without having contact with other people from outside, just the people that work in there. And then her husband decides to create this chip that they put inside of her head. So now he has access to everything that she sees, and he keeps analyzing all the data. And then the next step to the chip is actually to put one on his head. So now they have synchronized thoughts. So he feels exactly what she's feeling. So it's like a really crazy mixture of romance with kind of crazy mentality. But I think it's a really cool movie that has a lot of cool technology, special effects. Eric, I think you're gonna love that show because it's really, really cool. And HBO has been killing lately with all those new shows and everything they coming up, also the movies. So, well, that's my recommendation for today, guys. And as always, thank you so much for watching. And it's the time today to say goodbye. And don't be scared of robots. They can be our friends sometimes. So just enjoy life. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.
Yes, guys, thank you so much for all your recommendations. I have to say that I haven't watched Matrix. I've never watched Matrix, but I'm gonna go ahead and check out all of these movies. Now, don't forget to send us your opinion and also send us topics that you would like to discuss. We'll see you next time on the Student Lounge.